I want to discuss, based on what Justin Fields has proven to this point, what we think we got here. I want you to factor it all in. I want you to think like a general manager. You guys know, if you listen to the show enough, that I love thinking about sports from that level. So you are thinking about the present, the future, the money, the skill, all of it. Factoring in age, skill, contract, etc. How many quarterbacks would you rather build your team around than Justin Fields? So I am not saying win a game tomorrow, because I think you could certainly argue, you'd want Aaron Rodgers over Justin Fields to win a game tomorrow. Some people would argue against that, by the way, but you could certainly argue it. But you certainly would not want Aaron Rodgers to build a team around because of the age factor. So it's the most valuable position in the sport. The question is, how many guys? And why I think this is so fascinating is, one texter came in on the tease and said, Mahomes maybe, but that contract is so big, it maybe is 0. And I think that's insane. And someone else said, I came up with 13 for sure and 4 maybes, and I think that's equally, if not more, insane on the other end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away the tease here, and I'm going to just tell you my list, and then I want interaction, agreement, disagreement, names you would add, etc. Because I think there are 4 definites, like where I do not think there should even be much of a debate. That is Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and this one I think some will debate, but I disagree, obviously, Justin Herbert. I think that if you watch Justin Herbert play, you see a guy who can make every single throw on the football field. And he's been able to do that since he had 31 touchdowns as a rookie. He throws the ball down the field. He doesn't turn it over that much. Fantastic football player. And ironically enough, if you go based on strictly passing yards this year, they're 1, 2, 3, and 4. Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Herbert. But that's obviously not why I do that. But just I've got the stats up and I got the contracts up in front of me. It's just kind of ironic that those are the top 4. But I think those are the 4. I think that if, the GM of the Chargers called Ryan Poles and said, hey, you interested in a quarterback swap straight up, Herbert for Fields? I think Poles says yes. I think Mahomes for Fields, obviously the contracts wouldn't work because Mahomes is expensive and Fields is not, but the Bears would say absolutely, yes. Same thing with Allen, same thing with Burrow. I don't think those are debates. I don't think those are questions. I think those 4, for sure, they're the 4 most valuable assets in my mind in the entire league. And I'm seeing now a few people say the Mahomes contract thing. I know this is all subjective and opinion-based, but I'm sorry, you guys are just wrong. Like, Mahomes did something because he won so much so early, and Andy Reid is going to coach for forever, that nobody does anymore. He just, signed the lifetime deal when the cap is going to go up, 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 and up. My guess is the Chiefs are going to renegotiate that contract.
Yeah, it seems like forever ago we had Khalil Mack here with that massive contract. These things are very fluid, and they can renegotiate at any time and create room depending on what they need.
Right. I mean, just think about it this way. So, if you go to Spot Track, the biggest contract in the NFL is Pat Mahomes, by far. It's a $450 million 10-year deal. $45 million average annual value. Russell Wilson makes $48.5 a year. Kyler Murray makes $46 a year. Deshaun Watson makes $46 a year. Rodgers makes $50 a year. So in terms of a per year basis, money per year against the cap, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers all make more per year than Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes' contract, given that the salary cap goes up every year and he's locked in for a decade, is a bargain. It's a bargain. So that is a no doubt yes. I'm sorry. It just is. And Josh Allen, same thing. Joe Burrow, same thing. I would say Justin Herbert, same thing. I understand that people will use wins against him, and he's older. To me, he's the definition of eye test. And he's been on a team that has just been ravaged by injuries. And Brandon Staley, love him or hate him, I obviously side more on the side of love. Anthony Lynn was a disaster. They lost all those one-possession games. I think Herbert's a clear yes. But, so there's 4. Now, the top texter, and other people are saying this name, this is where I think it gets to be very interesting. Jalen Hurts. What do you do with Jalen Hurts? Because Jalen Hurts is the second favorite for the MVP this year. Right? Like he is. It's Mahomes who leads the league in passing, and it's Jalen Hurts who's a dual threat quarterback who is on an 11-1 team, and he's second favorite. He is 1 year older than Justin Fields, so that is negligible. 1 year closer to being paid. Here's why I don't automatically give you Hurts, even though I understand why you would say Hurts, because the goal is since Jalen Hurts is 1 year ahead of Fields, the goal is for Justin Fields next year, when he's Jalen Hurts' current age, to have a season like Jalen Hurts. That's the dream. So I get why you would say, well, Fields, the goal is for him to be there. Hurts is already there. Why wouldn't Hurts be an obvious one? And for me, the answer is why I think it's a debate is because Jalen Hurts might be in the best position to succeed of any player in the NFL. It's probably still Mahomes because of Andy Reid, who is the best offensive coach of a generation. But Jalen Hurts has what Bernstein said, one of the best offensive lines he's ever seen. I think we could probably come up with a few better, if I'm being honest. I can think of 2 different Dallas Cowboys offensive lines that are better. But it's still very, very, very good. Got a all-pro, a couple of Pro Bowlers. It's the best offensive line in football. Devontae Smith, first-round pick at receiver. A.J. Brown, huge contracts, traded a first-round pick for at wide receiver. Good running game, offensive coach. Great defense that keeps giving him the ball back. Like Jalen Hurts is in a situation that we could only dream. Like he is surrounded by a situation that we could only dream of Justin Fields being surrounded by. So, and I think that Justin Fields, at least with the deep ball, is a little bit better than Jalen Hurts. But then again, like it's hard to argue the numbers. The guy's thrown for 2,900 passing yards already, 9th in the NFL. He's tied for 7th in touchdowns, and that doesn't even factor in the rushing stats, where he's got another 9 rushing touchdowns and 600 yards. So Jalen Hurts has accounted for 3,500 yards and 29 touchdowns from scrimmage in 12 games. And if you go to the game log, he's got a 380 passing yard game. He's got a 340 passing yard game. He's got a 333 passing yard game. Fields has never cracked 300. So, like, if you want to say Hurts, I'm not going to argue terribly hard with you. And he's only thrown 3 picks. But they probably have the best roster in football. And he probably has the best offensive supporting cast in football. And Fields has arguably the worst offensive supporting cast in football. So it's very tough for me to compare those two when I just watch them, I think Fields has more natural talent as a passer. And I would want to know what Fields would look like throwing to those receivers with that kind of offensive protection. So Hurts, I think, is close. I would take Justin Fields over Tua. Tua's going to probably finish top 5 in the MVP this year. But I know when I watch Tua, I see a lot of underthrown balls that happen to fall into the hands of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I don't see a true difference-making talent there. Very accurate, very productive, but again, all-pro left tackle, all-pro wide receiver. This year, probably a Pro Bowl wide receiver in Waddle. Offensive head coach. Franchise tag tight end. Multiple free agent running backs in the additions in one offseason. Like, crazy investment around him on the offensive side of the ball. Comparing Tua's supporting cast to Fields' supporting cast is apples and bowling balls. And he's small, and he's been had a serious injury, the hip injury, and not nearly as gifted athletically, doesn't have nearly as big of an arm. So next 10 years, were all things being equal around him, I would take Fields over Tua, personally. So I got 4 for sure. Hurts, I'm willing to listen to an argument on. And I'd be willing to listen to an argument on Lamar. He's only a couple years older. He's already won the MVP. He has been supported and surrounded by basically nothing. But he also hasn't progressed as a passer. And he's 3 years ahead of Fields in terms of NFL experience. So, and he's about to get paid. But his best is exactly what you want Fields' best to be. 36 touchdowns, 6 picks, an MVP, best player on the field. And he's still young enough that, like, I think if Lamar Jackson was in where Jalen Hurts is, I think he'd be producing at the level that Hurts is, if not better, and probably better, because he's a more dynamic runner. But I think that I want you to confront what that means. So I say 4 for sure. I'll give you, without much argument, Hurts and Lamar. So that's 6. There are 6 quarterbacks in football that you'd rather build your team around? Trevor Lawrence? Guy makes big turnovers in horrible spots. And he's got more around him. Hired an offensive head coach, signed a $72 million free agent wide receiver in Christian Kirk, drafted Travis Etienne, his college teammate, with the first pick of the second round, had James Robinson before he was hurt. You know, there's more investment around Trevor Lawrence than there has been around Justin Fields.